Well, good evening, everybody. Marla Rutz here with the Cubby Hole. I am so excited to be here tonight because you know what tonight is? Tonight, we're doing something brand new. I had it placed on my heart to expand what we're doing here at the Cubby Hole virtually. Okay, so here's what this looks like. Okay, so as some of you know, on Fridays, there's the show called Coffee Chats at the Cubby Hole, which I love. That show, the premise of that show, the whole idea of that show is to bring on a special guest each Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern and shine a light on my special guest and their story, one of the many pivotal moments in their life that they've overcome something. And it has their story of overcoming has a root of faith. And so that's what we do on Fridays. And we've been doing that for over a year. But just recently, there was this little nudge that said, do this. And the this is exactly what tonight is. Tonight is called Cubby Hole Spotlight Specials. It's a little different than Coffee Chats. What the Cubby Hole Spotlight Specials are going to be about is every once in a while, I'm going to do one of these specials and I'm going to shine a spotlight on somebody in this world that's putting greatness out into the world. I am so excited for our first special tonight, and I'm extra excited about my special guest who agreed to come and join me and just give a ripple effect of hope and inspiration with the project that he's been working on. So my special guest tonight, the very first special guest of Cubby Hole Spotlight Specials is Christopher Shawn Shaw. Christopher he's been in the movie industry for decades. He's a filmmaker, and recently he directed the movie Church People. Have you seen it? It is such a good movie. Talk about responsible entertainment. My husband and I watched this recently, and we loved it. If you are a person who your heart is anchored in the truth of the word, and that's what you love when you go to church, that the church is anchored in the truth, in the gospel, and that you love it when that's what your church focuses on. That is exactly what this movie is about. And without further ado, I want to bring Christopher on because he can share more about this movie because, well, it is his special project. So please welcome from California, my special guest, Christopher Shawn Shaw. How are you, friend?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. This is so fun, something new.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, and welcome to the Cubby Hole. You've never been here in person, but here you are virtually visiting here in the Cubby Hole. So, Christopher, this movie is so cool. David and I watched it last weekend. It's such a powerful movie, high quality, great cast, and the director doing an amazing job. That was who's that? Tell us how this movie got started and your passion behind this movie.
Well, the start of the movie, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because the start of the movie is where our special guest.
Yes, we do have a special guest.
I don't want to give it away, but there is a special guest coming on. And this person is going to be able to tell the beginning part of this.
Right.
But so let's see. I met well, you saw the movie, so you know that the writer and the star of the movie is a guy by the name of Thor Ramsey, who is a stand-up comedian, and he's also the pastor of a church plant and brilliant writer. Anyway, I connected, to make a very long story short, I connected with Thor on Facebook in 2009. And in 2010, we collaborated on our very first short film called Skip Listening, which was a speed filmmaking competition for the 168 Film Project. So shout out to the 168, 168film.com. If you're interested in getting started in filmmaking, do a speed filmmaking competition like the 168, 168film.com. They're actually ramping up to do one this year. And so anyway, Thor, we collaborated on Skip Listening. which we now have a feature-length script for that needs funding. Wink, wink.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that for sure too.
But
that's an exciting project. That's an exciting project.
As we were working on this one, though, he tells me about this script that he has titled Youth Group, and he wants to direct it and star in it. And so we were shooting Skip Listening, and then he changes his mind about directing it. And I'm like, well, who would you like to direct it? Hoping he would say me, of course. And he's like, you could direct it.
You could.
Yes. And that's literally how I originally got the gig, was, connecting with him. It was his script. And so anyway, later in 2010, we shot what's called a proof of concept trailer, which is like a mock trailer to envision support. So we're like, hey, here's a visual representation of what this could look like if it had some money behind it, wink, wink, and so we did a proof of concept trailer. You can still see that on YouTube if you just type in Youth Group proof of concept Thor Ramsey in YouTube search engine, you'll find it. It's on my YouTube channel, which is CSS301. But anyway, we did that. And I pitched that thing online left and right. Twitter, Facebook, probably LinkedIn. Just trying to get eyeballs on it and trying to get the right people who could help with it. My alarm is going off for the wrong time.
This is perfect.
I set the alarm to go off 15 minutes before I thought I was going to be live, and it's going off right now. So let me turn it off real quick.
You know what I'm going to do right now while you go turn off your alarm? I am going to play the trailer. Let me do that.
Yeah, play the trailer. There you go.
Play the trailer because it's awesome. One sec.
Records. I get the church logo tattooed on my arm.
Skip, remember back when we first started? All we did was preach the gospel.
Ooh, Superman works. I like Superman. Guy, what do you think?
What happened to you?
Me? Your dad is the one with the gimmicks.
The power of the Holy Spirit.
Well, that didn't work, so let's try it one more time.
And for clarity's sake, that's not the trailer we did in 2010. This is the real trailer.
Yes.
For the real movie.
Awesome. Well, here, we were frozen for a minute, so let me do this all over again. One more time. We both know how this production thing goes. You know what? We're going to get this. Hold on.
I've done a few lives before. I know how it goes.
We know. Okay, here we go. We'll roll it again.
I just want the church to get back to the gospel.
Problem is you're trying to get your message across.
The gospel?
Right. And ain't nobody listening to that.
For Good Friday and Easter, I need something big. Amen?
Bigger than the resurrection.
Bigger than anything we've ever done. National headlines.
Preach on the death and resurrection of Jesus.
Plan. An actual crucifixion.
Uh-oh.
By placing the nails through your palms in the right place, we hope to avoid major nerve damage.
Operation Stop Skip is a go. That's awesome.
You have to cancel this Good Friday stunt.
Don't be so dramatic, honey. Ooh, I like the rusty ones.
What are you gonna do?
I told him he's insane.
Been praying for you about that toe fungus.
This could be beneficial for all parties involved.
We foster a yes environment here.
God wanted me to marry you and you could be my wife.
I have an answer for you.
That was so good. We laughed out loud. It was such a delight. We were watching the movie, and David, my husband, was like, it's a really good movie. We really, really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so glad you enjoyed it and that he enjoyed it. And Thor and I were surrounded by consummate professionals. So it helps to have a team around you who knows what they're doing, so and we had that team. So we were very, very fortunate and blessed to have not only the team we had, but the financing behind it and the whole bit.
Well, let's talk about that team, starting with the cast, because it was an all-star, high-quality powerful cast. So tell us about the cast.
Well, we got veteran TV actor and film actor Michael Monks, who also served as our on-set acting coach. He played Pastor Skip, incredible actor, who's also an acting coach for other actors as well. Stephen Baldwin. Does he need any further introduction? Stephen Baldwin. Erin Cahill. Some people know her from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, but she does a lot of Lifetime movies and stuff like that. Incredible actress.
So good.
Andriana Manfredi, William Baldwin and China Phillips, who are husband and wife in real life, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. They've been married for like 30 years.
They were great together. Great chemistry. You could tell.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time they've appeared on camera together as husband and wife. So that was really fun. And that scene is one of my favorite scenes. I mean, when we were shooting that scene, I don't know if you got to see the behind the scenes footage and the interviews and stuff, but like I was grinning ear to ear behind the monitor on that scene. It was so funny. I mean, they nailed it.
Let me play that scene. I have that scene. Let me play it.
Oh well, yeah. Let's play it, scene. Hopefully it'll go smoothly.
Yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Here we go.
Try this. It stimulates brainwaves.
Thank you. I already feel it working.
Anyway, those are just 10 reasons why Blaze shouldn't be crucified.
You make a compelling case, I must say. And I want to affirm you in that, the same way we affirm Blaze and whatever makes him happy.
I just wish there was something we could do.
You're his parents.
That's right. So you could tell him no.
Obviously, you don't have children.
Not yet. No. We foster a yes environment here. A positive posture toward the universe.
I'm hungry. Anybody want toast?
Sure.
Isn't he a delight?
We didn't teach him that. Offering toast comes from within.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't teach him that. Offering toast comes from within. We both wanted to say the same thing.
I love it. We laughed so hard. And I saw a comment somewhere where somebody they were commenting about the scene with the toaster and they were just busting out laughing. It was so good. They were so great. Everybody in that scene.
I hear our special guest is backstage.
He is backstage, and I can't wait to bring him in. Would you guys all, we're going to welcome in Thor Ramsey. He is a pastor, a writer, an author, and a comedian.
Thor Ramsey!
And the star of Church People. Please welcome Thor Ramsey. Hello.
Did we catch a mid-bite?
Yeah, I was backstage on the green room eating stuff. So, yeah, it's great to be here. Marla, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. This is so fun. I was just sharing with Christopher how much we loved the movie. You were brilliant. We just loved every bit of it.
Great, thank you.
So good. I love the line. If you miss this, you miss everything. Is that the line?
Yeah.
Powerful. So powerful. I love that. So you have all the history with the movie and how it came about. And tell us about that.
Okay. So what time did you actually start, Christopher?
Well, we were supposed to start at the top of the hour, but but I was late, so we started like 10 hours.
Yeah, you told me 6:15. Anyway,
I know.
Anyway,
my bad.
It's awesome. It's awesome. We're all used to production, so we know we just go in there right on the fly.
And this is live too, right? I keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like treating things I can just edit this out. I'm cleaning my teeth and gurgling. Yeah. So this is what year? Christopher's better with the timeline. About 2010, 2011.
For what exactly?
2009 you went on Facebook.
When I first went to Sony, I had a meeting with Sony Affirm. What year was that?
Yeah, that was probably 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, so about 2008, 2009, rough timeline.
But
So-
I'm looking up the movie that you're going to reference now because you're way off on the date that movie came out. In all these interviews we've done, it was actually 1996 when that movie came out that you're going to reference.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Nope.
Well, anyway, so
anyway, I told her the story about how we met and
Okay.
keep listening. So you're going to take it from before that.
yeah, so this is before Skip. Yeah, this is before. Yeah, it is before Skip Listening.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was
what-
2010.
This is really the impetus for me getting involved with Skip Listening. But I used to have a manager and a career when I cared about things, and he got me a meeting with Sony Affirm, and so I went in there with this pitch. You know, I had these two. I still have them. They're still unsold, but I had these two romantic comedies that were just general market comedies, and I was pitching them. But you know, they're like, "Did you prepare for this meeting?" We're Sony Affirm. It's like faith-based. Did you get that coming into the meeting at all? Faith-based? You got something like with faith in it? And so I had this screenplay. I had only had 30 pages written, but I didn't tell them that. I said, "Well, I've got this story about a youth pastor in crisis," and I don't. To be honest, it was really undeveloped. I was just kind of going with it. I kind of had an idea of where I was going with it, but. And as Christopher mentioned, did you mention the film? So John Favreau.
No, I didn't. I didn't. No, I was leaving that up to you to mention that.
So in 1996, I saw a film called Swingers, which is not what it sounds like, but John Favreau directed it. He's the guy that directed Elf and a lot of the. I think he developed the Mandalorian series for Disney, and he directed Elf, one of my all-time favorite movies.
Are you kidding?
Yes,
it's a favorite around here.
Yes, yeah.
Our
It's
oldest
every year.
son is Buddy the Elf. Yes.
Yes, and but this was, I think, his first foray into writing and directing, and it was really it was a slice of life movie about a guy whose three friends are helping him get over a girl that breaks up with him. So that's really what it's about. And so I liked the tone of the movie. It was a comedy, but had a real kind of a realistic tone. And so I started writing a movie called Youth Group. And so I pitched that idea to them. And because I was going with the same tone was at the time of that movie. So I pitched this idea to Sony Affirm, and they go, "We'd like to see that." So I'm like, well, I think my laptop was literally getting serviced. It was so I had, my laptop is being serviced. So you got to give me a week. And so I went and I finished it that week, sent it off. And there's a guy he's still there at Sony Affirm, a guy named Josh Nadler. And I always give Josh a great, I always give him a great plug because I thought this is not standard, I don't think, but I sent him the script and he called me back and gave me notes on it. And I did a rewrite and he called me back and gave me notes over the phone. And he did this 5 times, which is unbelievable. And then at the very last meeting, though, he goes, "What your story needs is a big idea to bring everything together." Mm-hmm. I'm like, "Oh, okay, a big idea." I didn't know what the big idea was, but so I'm like, I had my antennas up for a big idea. And a friend of mine, it was my best friend at the time. He's a church planter, Forrest Short. And Forrest planted a church about over a decade ago in Redlands, California. It's still going strong, Emmaus Church in Redlands. And he called me up one day. He says, "You're not going to believe what this big, gigantic mega church that we all know about. It's a national." I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but this big, gigantic church that has been influential in our lives is doing for Good Friday. I'm like, "Well, what are they doing? This sounds amazing." Because they're crucifying a human being. I'm like, "This is me. This is him." Well, I don't know. I'm confused now, but anyway,
we age ourselves when we do that too.
Yeah, we age ourselves. Yeah, this is the old flip phone. This is still a cell phone, kids.
It's like this. It's like this if you use a pop socket.
Oh, this is that.
Or AirPod.
I just have to go Bluetooth. Like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, you're not going to believe it. Oh, you're going to be kidding me.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he says, "Hey, they're going to crucify a human being." There's no way. I'm looking at their social media. So I go online. Now, what they were doing is that they were actually having a passion play, but they were really going to play up the realism. And so it was going to be so gory that they had all kinds of disclaimers. And it seemed like they were going to crucify an actor, but they were just doing a passion play.
Mhm.
But here's what struck me is that so many evangelical pastors over that past decade had done with all the best intentions, probably, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but with all the best intentions, they had done such crazy things to attract people to church that for a moment, my friend and I actually believed that an American evangelical church would actually crucify a human being on Good Friday to attract people to church. And right then I knew I had my big idea. I go, that's my big idea, to bring everything together for the script. And then that eventually became Church People, after probably, not even exaggerating, probably 30 rewrites.
Right.
Of that was probably 3 different. With all the rewrites, we probably have 3 different stories. At least in all those scripts. But the final one was Church People.
Same big idea though. It was the same. You know,
the same big idea on all of them. But
at least from the time I came on board.
Yeah.
And you were already shooting the movie when the name changed, because I loved the behind the scenes at the end, and they were referring to it as Youth Group.
Yeah, actually, the name didn't change until a year or 2 after the movie was wrapped.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. You're right. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was still Youth Group when we were shooting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't change until way after we wrapped.
Yeah, so and that was.
And for those of you who don't know, we actually shot this film in 2016, and check a calendar. It's 2021 now, so almost 5 years later, it's finally out.
Oh gosh, let's talk about that in a minute. I'm going to show one more. I'm going to show another clip here. That's kind of the setup for in the movie why you had the passion that you had for turning things around. So let's take a look at this.
There's my guy. Hey, nailed it again. Nailed it again.
I just hope they heard the gospel in a deeper...
Totes, they did. But here's the thing. That beach ball thing, we need to capitalize on it. From now on, you are officially the beach ball guy.
No, I am absolutely
not. No, you absolutely are the beach ball guy.
And
let me tell you,
absolutely
listen,
means
it's bigger than either one of us. You made it a thing.
It's a thing I'm not going to do.
Okay, well, we can talk about it. We can always talk about it. But I need you right now to be the baller I know you can be. Now you go out there and ball till you fall. Hey, y'all, look who's here. It's the baller.
Ball till you fall.
That actually wasn't in the script. I think Donald was interesting in terms of, like, I guess in television you do so many takes, like well, I think it's because you do so many scripts every week. And so they just get an idea of the scene and they just kind of run with it. And that's really what he did. He's like, I got an idea where the scene's going. And it's like, we wrote dialogue. That's okay. I get it. And then he just kind of feel his way through it. And like, and it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a different way of working, but he nailed it.
Comedy. Some of the best lines are written on stage. That's what the goal happens.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh, so good. So there was the gap there between 2016 and when it was released. What was, tell us about that.
Christopher, take up the gap years.
Well, I mean, so when we filmed it, we didn't have a distributor lined up.
Mm-hmm.
And had we had a distributor lined up,
I would have not been in the movie.
You may not have been in the movie. I may not have, because distributors have their own negotiating power and whatnot, and they're thinking who's going to buy the movie, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it helps that you have recognizable faces and names in it, including the lead actor and the director.
Here we go. Which is not this. Which is like, it's like Thor Ramsey. The who? Yeah. Well, that's the reality of it. It's like, I'm not a big movie star.
Oh,
yeah.
But, we all think you are.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad. I've got 30 people who think I am, and that's really what keeps my ego going, basically.
So we didn't have like a streamline, like it wasn't a Marvel movie where they have a release date before they shoot the movie, So that was part of it. And then there were different approaches to how it was going to be.
A lot of people don't know this, but I turned down the role of Captain America to do this film. So that's what my career could have been. So that's what it could have been. But
you picked the right door. You did. This
did.
movie has such a great message.
It is. And it's more biblical than the Marvel universe, I will say that. So stones just don't have power because they exist. Come on now. Anyway.
I want to give a shout out to the website really quick. There's a couple things I want to let you know about the website, churchpeoplefilm.com. You can go there and scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and sign up for updates, because it does come out on digital and DVD in September of this year. So September 2021. I don't have an exact date yet. So you want to sign up for updates. You'll be notified. They do not bombard or spam your email inbox. I rarely see an email from that account. So,
which is a little disappointing, I will say. I wish they were a little more obnoxious about their spamming.
Just a little.
I will say that, because it's a little disappointing.
Maybe a little bit, but
where can I see your movie? I'm like, in September. You can see it in September.
Okay.
However, we're, at the time of this live stream, it's June, and until the end of June, pastors, church leaders,
right,
organizations that want to have a gathering and show the movie, you can actually host a ticketed screening of the event. There's no licensing fee to do it. Just go to that website, churchpeoplefilm.com, and there's a button there that says host a showing, and that'll take you to a simple form to fill out, and you can submit a request to host a showing. And my understanding is you keep 15% of the ticket sales of the showing you host.
So if you have a wall and a projector, you can have a movie.
Well, I don't know if it's that simplistic, but we don't want to false advertise it. But
I love it now when people go, "Hey,
so,
has your movie been in theaters?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was in theaters already." So
yeah,
during COVID. So
yeah.
Did you tell her we were number 10 at the box office?
I did not. We were.
Oh, we were number 10 at the box office, but it was during COVID, so it was 3 theaters and 11 people. But still, we're gonna keep repeating that particular stat because it sounds impressive.
You don't have to mention the details. You know what I mean? Just tell it. You know, just
that's it.
You were
number 10 at the box office. That's what
the details are a little bit more impressive than that, because we were in approximately 400 theaters across the nation. Right. It was a 3-day Fathom Event release, which typically those are one-night events. So I think in light of COVID, and we didn't have Regal theaters, that was like 250 theaters that we lost there. They worked out a deal to where we got 3 days, which was really cool.
Bring back. They should do a bring back.
Well, I have heard that Fathom was considering that, but of course it's going to cost money. So hey, if somebody out there, wink wink, wants to sponsor a bring back, then we'll get you connected and we'll figure something out. But well,
if you're going to go that way, if somebody wants to produce another film, we've got more scripts we're working on. Let's just go there.
Yeah,
let's just make another movie, and you can just put your name on it, people.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Rich person, contact us.
Thor is diligently working on multiple scripts right now. So if you like church people and you like Thor Ramsey and you think my directing's okay, then we got more.
And if you like Bob Smiley, I just finished a script with Bob Smiley. If you like Darren Streblo and Leland Clausen and Bone Hampton, we all finished a script together. Yeah. Brad Stein and I are working on a script together. So we got some stuff in the wings.
Yeah.
I had the honor of sitting in on the reading of that movie. Yes.
The movers.
Yeah.
Oh, you were there. Okay.
I was there. I loved it. It was great.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm fascinated. You know,
how did you get connected to that? Through Christopher?
I'm friends with Leland and Darren, and Bone invited me.
Okay.
Yeah.
He invited everybody. He's the only person.
He's awesome. Yeah, Leland was the very first headliner here at the Cubby Hole. So I know those guys from the Christian Comedy Association.
Is the Cubby Hole a comedy club?
It's a space in our basement where we do live comedy shows a few a year. Yeah. And
it's a space in your basement. You've got to change the name someday to call. You got to call it a space in our basement, and that's it. That's great.
I actually promoted when I think it was the last show. It said the Cubby Hole, a space in our basement. I think it was my husband's idea.
Yeah, the tagline. That's great.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. That's good. I like that.
Our basement to bring laughter, light, and love. Yes, it's a faith-inspired place. It's awesome. You guys will have to visit sometime.
No, where are you at? What's
in Michigan? I'm in Michigan. In Michigan.
Oh, my wife's from there, Michigan. She's from Kentwood.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what it is, but we love Michigan.
By Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay, I was just there. I just came home from there. But if you guys visit Michigan, you have to come. You have to come.
What city are you in Michigan?
In Highland.
Highland. I'll have to ask my wife where that's at.
Michigan. Yes.
Is that near Detroit then?
My husband is saying here, Thor has to headline the Cubby Hole.
Okay, yeah. All right, let's set a date. Let me get my pen and my calendar here.
Yes.
Yeah, he also asked how much a bringback is, and I don't know how much the bringback is. But thanks for asking. But I would imagine to do a Fathom event initially, I think on the low end, it's like $300,000. Just
we can tell you how much it's going to cost to make our movies. We can tell you that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Does your husband want to be an executive producer?
Oh my God. We need to talk. If you have a minute, you hold on because he's upstairs and he's going to come downstairs when we're done. He's going to come.
All right.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty great at business. That guy is pretty brilliant. Wow. So anyway, oh my gosh, so much to ask you. But yeah, Leela was the first one to headline here. Bone is coming in August, so we gotta get you guys on the schedule. It'd be awesome.
Oh, that's great.
But speaking of comedy, tell me, I would love to hear a little bit more about the behind the scenes of your career. So Thor, you also have done comedy, and you're an author, a writer, and now you're starring in movies. So what was the progression there?
Well, wow, where do you begin? I'll try to make it short. Christopher, you time me. Here we go. I'll give myself 3 minutes. Here we go. Literally started when I was about 5 or 6 years old. My dad would watch The Tonight Show at night, and I would sneak out of bed and come downstairs to the cubby hole, to a basement. And my dad would be watching The Tonight Show and just let me sit on his lap. And there was just something fascinating to me about the lone person standing there with all the lights and having people laugh at them. You couldn't see the people, but you could hear them laugh at this person. Mm-hmm. And I could tell the person was making these people laugh. And some people talk about falling in love with theater. And it's like, well, that's kind of what it was for me. I fell in love with this idea of stand-up. And even as I grew up, even as I started to understand The Tonight Show, in grade school, I would watch, I would always watch the beginning of The Tonight Show because they would announce the guests. And if one of the guests was a comedian, I would stay up and watch the comedian. And so there was just this fascination with stand up. And then, of course, I became, the class clown. In many cases, sometimes I was a class clown teacher's pet, which basically is if you can make your teacher laugh, then you can become the class clown / teacher's pet. But when I was a junior in high school, so that was kind of my dream. And then I had a great teacher my junior year of high school, an English teacher. I had her both my junior year and my senior year, and she was amazing. Like I think the first day of class, she grilled us on do you guys know grammar? And apparently none of us did. So she literally taught us how to diagram sentences as juniors, and she introduced me to great, writers, literature. I just remember the writers that she introduced me to just made me want to be a writer. Yeah. And so there was this combination of loving literature and loving comedy. And then, of course, life gets a hold of you, and I'm from Nebraska, a little town in Nebraska. I just didn't have the security just to run. The only comedy club I knew of when I was in high school was the comedy. It was the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. And I just didn't have the security just to run off to LA. I wish I would have now. I just didn't have the emotional security just to run off to LA and go, I'm going to be a stand-up. That's what I'm going to do. So I did the standard path, went to college and got a job I hated. And there I am, a decade into my life, in my 20s, hating my job and hating my life. And I remembered when I was a junior in high school, a friend of mine came to school one day and said, I dreamt you were on The Tonight Show last night. And she goes, you had a good set. And, which is that's the first time anyone said that to me, and I'd never even performed. So but
you had a good set and you didn't show up in your underwear.
Yeah, my underwear. So but I remember thinking to myself, and here I am, I'm an operations supervisor at a trucking company, and I hated every moment of it. And I remember thinking to myself, if you're not going to follow your own dreams, you might as well follow somebody else's. Right. So, I made my way to a comedy club in Des Moines, Iowa, that same year, which was 1987. And within a year, I was working 42 weeks out of the year at comedy clubs all across the country. And that's kind of how I started my and as I started stand-up, I really started stand-up, and I know a lot of stand-ups will hate this, but it was the lowest rung into show business. And I figured even getting in that, even learning comedy as a stand-up would help me write screenplays. Because even then I wanted to write, wanted to write screenplays and books and stuff. But, as a writer, you find that you got to live so much life before you can actually write. Before you can actually sit down and write a novel, you've got to live so much life. Screenplays, not so much, to be honest. Screenplays are mostly dialogue and plot, but novels have an inner dialogue. And I think a good novel has to say something, at least from my perspective, you have to strive to be literary with a novel.
Right.
So I've been getting rejections there apparently, but
you are pressing forward and doing so many amazing things. And I love hearing the backstory. And it's interesting with comedians, for all of us, it started when we were kids. We found that there's always often something special about watching comedians or the way that we knew that they made people feel. And it's a love. It starts when we were children.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you learn, it's a way to get it. I mean, it's a way to be affirmed, and it's a way to deflect getting beat up many times.
Isn't that true? You hear that all the time. It's either people go into comedy because it's medicinal. They go into it maybe as a counterfeit comfort to numb the pain or to get all their thoughts out because nobody would listen to that. There's so many cool stories.
I've met comedians who go into comedy because it's a way to avoid talking about real things.
Yeah,
it really is. Because if they joke all the time, they never really have to get to the, and I find out that a lot of, because my wife is what's the term? She's an adult child of an alcoholic. So they have, they have, what's the intimacy issues.
Yes,
so issues like sharing. So I'm like, I've met stand-ups like that. It's like you work with them and it's like, you really never get to know them.
Right.
You learn that their stand-up is really it's a shield for them. And other people, it's just, I know a lot of people think stand-ups are disturbed. And I remember I remember listening to Mel Brooks years ago saying that comedy was the only, he has mom and dad. He came from a great home, apparently. I don't know his family, but he came from a great home, felt really loved by his parents. And he said that comedy was the only place he ever felt as loved as in his home. So he wasn't driven to stand up or comedy by some sort of dark, the tears of a clown type of thing. It was because he was so affirmed as a kid. It's the only place he could find that same kind of affirmation.
Right. Well, are you doing a lot of stand up now? I know you're doing a lot of acting and
I'm doing 2 music festivals this summer. But the answer is no. I'm not doing lots of stand-up now, but I am doing 2 music festivals. I'm doing Life Fest in Wisconsin and in Nashville this summer. So I'm really looking forward to that because I'm working on some new material. I don't know if they want to hear that, but I'm working on some new material that I'm going to open with there.
You might as well try it. Try it in the beginning.
I should try it out. You guys,
it's related to the movie business. So
what's that now?
And it's related to the movie business.
Yeah, it's about being in movies and stuff. Yeah. So you want to talk about your life.
Yeah, that's perfect because that segues right into the movies that you're producing and all the projects that you have going on. Christopher, what about you? Have you always, I know you went to school it was filmography and
I went to school for acting actually.
Acting. And then
so my fascination growing up was watching movies on the big screen, wanting to be an actor on the big screen. And then just over the year, and I went to college for it. I went to Otterbein College, which is now Otterbein University in Westerville, Ohio. So shout out to Otterbein.
Because if you want to break into Hollywood, Otterbein is the gateway to big budget movies. Everyone knows
the deal. Otterbein was known for 2 things at the time, and one of them was theater, the other was music. So they were really well known for that. So it was
because they didn't have a grocery store or a hamburger outlet. That's why. So, like, what else you got?
Oh my gosh.
But over the years, while I was there, I had a VHS camcorder for you kids out there who don't know what a VHS is,
Yeah.
Google it.
Use the Google and search for it.
Use the Google.
You had to insert quarters to make it run.
What, Thor?
You had to insert quarters to make it run.
Okay, it's not that ancient.
Arcade tokens or that.
There you go. Yeah, you had to get tokens to make a movie.
If only. So I was dabbling with my VHS camcorder that my parents had gotten me, and we had one at home too when I was in high school that I dabbled with a little bit. But I would think of these scenes that I could act in, and then I was also behind the camera setting it up and framing the shot and that kind of thing. And I remember thinking in college, man, I wish I could be in front of the camera and behind the camera at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, I found myself more and more behind the camera and enjoying that more.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I feel I'm best suited is directing, and I love being on set. So
it's so funny. I didn't think about this till now, but in all the interviews I've done, I've never thought about this. But when I was about 10 years old, we used to have an 8mm silent camera. And I got a bunch of friends together, and I was out writing it on paper, but I wanted to make a film. It was basically based on West Side Story. So it was just gang fun. What I wanted to do was have some people stabbed in the alley. And, but it was a silent thing, and I was getting all ready to do it. But it's like, my parents were like, first of all, we got to buy the film. It's not. And I was like, well, it's silent. I'm like, I'm going to record it on a tape recorder. And then I was going to sync it up when we showed it was the idea. But, this is a word to parents. It's like, and I know parents are different today. I grew up back in the day. It's like, that's stupid. Don't do that. That's how parents were back then. If you had dreams, you really had to pursue them because your parents were like, you want to do what? That's dumb. Nobody does. We're from Nebraska. There are no stand-up comedians from Nebraska. Dad, I think Johnny Carson. No, he's not. He's not here. He's not from here. But that was the parents just ixnayed it, and so those dreams were like. So I could have had footage of my very first film as a 10-year-old had they bought me film, but they didn't.
I'm just picturing you as a 10-year-old. I mean, you're just trying everything. You're just lots of energy. I'm imagining, right? Lots of energy, trying all kinds of things.
Well, being honest,
shattering your dreams right there.
My personality is very subdued, and I'm. So as a kid, I think that's where stand-up comes in too. Yeah. Really bashful. Mm-hmm. Bashful as a kid. So if you can, making someone laugh is breaking the ice.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like, even now, it's like, well, it's different now. You kind of grow out of it. You learn to grow into, because when I started stand-up, I was not, I'd walk into a party. If I didn't know people, I would not become the life of the party. I'd walk into a room full of people I don't know. And I'm like, I wouldn't. It was really difficult. I was socially awkward in that sense. I'd have to let people approach me, but you learn to, as a stand-up, that really helped me come out of my shell to not be the introvert that I am by nature. So,
oh gosh,
yeah,
wow, I love it. I love the backstories. It's one of my favorite things about production and just talking to people on the Cubby Hole, the coffee chat.
Well, speaking of backstories, how did you guys start a comedy club in your basement?
It's funny. I'm writing.
It's funny.
It's a story. It was a divine nudge. It's a whole story in itself, and it's really, really cool. It's a very special story. Actually, I'll have to tell you sometime.
Well, you have to tell me sometimes. Maybe there's a script there.
What's interesting? Gosh, it's funny that you said that. I'll tell you about it because something's been stirring, and it's just been in the last few days, but.
She's going to tell you about it. She's just going to tell you about it right now.
That's the impression I got. It's like, this is not for your ears of you live listeners right now. This is a special conversation you don't get to be involved in. But tune in next week with things that you are allowed to hear.
Just you guys, and don't tell anybody, okay? Yeah. I'm going to tell you. But I have to pray about this because it was a pretty. I don't know. I trust the stirrings, the little nudges that I get. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray about this. But this is a beautiful, really, really, really cool story. And the whole idea is to bring people. The whole premise of the cubby holes. Did you say you had a cubby hole when you were growing up?
He was. I think he was doing a play on words with his story of sneaking in to watch the Tonight Show.
My mom used to empty the cupboards, and I could crawl in them. I used to do that. So that's
similar. The
but my mom did use the phrase "cubby hole."
Okay.
I was never sure what she was referring to, but I know we had one around the house somewhere.
It is. It's in bungalows. It's the space under the stairs. I think a lot of people call it a cubby hole.
Well, we had a closet under the stairs, so maybe that's what she was referring to. I thought we were the only family, but I have heard more people say they called it the cubby hole. So that's where I would go when I was a kid, and I was having troubles in my life, and I always went in there and we'd laugh and we'd write jokes, and I always felt better when I left. So when I was naming it, just thinking of the name and painting the stage, it just God put it on my heart, the cubby hole. So it's a whole story. I'm writing a book. It's all going to be in there. So I'm trying to tell it in slow motion, because it's so powerful, and I have to get it down, even if it's just for my kids. Right.
So, let's see, a couple comments. I want to play one more clip, but what were we talking about?
We were talking about you not sharing your story. I think that's the last thing we talked about. So.
No, tonight's about you guys and your movie. I am so excited about this movie that other people are going to get to see it. I want to play one more clip, and then I want to ask you guys, I want to come back and ask you about your faith and how it plays out in your careers, because also that's what this movie is all about. So let me play this clip, and then we'll come right back.
Sign this?
What would Jesus do? It's still happening? I have an idea. Why don't we talk about what Jesus has done? Died and rose again, right?
Oh, I have Jesus in my heart. What I don't have is a beach ball with your name on it.
1 Corinthians 15. It's about what Jesus did.
Thanks.
One of my favorite lines in the movie.
And that was ad-libbed. That was not in the script.
Yeah, that was ad-libbed by
Matthew Reithmeyer.
Matthew Reithmeyer.
Who is also a filmmaker and editor, and he actually had his feature film directorial debut with Paul's Promise, which is an upcoming movie coming out from Damascus Road Productions with Ryan O'Quinn. So that was Matthew.
He was actually the editor. He was the editor when we made the
proof of concept.
The proof of concept trailer. He edited that, and he edited Skip Listening.
Yeah.
So we hope to. Oh, that's great. You all still have Guy Sides T-shirts. I don't know what they did with all those T-shirts.
Yeah, we don't. And honestly, I keep thinking we should have some kind of merchandise.
Somebody should have saved them.
Ancillary to the movie, but
that's
I don't know.
My dad's name. So
it's interesting. So it sounds like a lot of my favorite lines in the movie. It sounds like they were just born right there live.
Well, a few of them more.
Oh, that's awesome! It was great.
But did he tell you this? I think we left more funny on the floor though, in the cutting. Yeah, because it was whittled down to 90. How many minutes was it? 90? Was it 90? Is it 90
about
minutes?
96 minutes, including
96
credit.
minutes.
So about 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And
so but we had
close to 2 hours worth of script recorded. So there was about 20 to 25 minutes that was cut, and a lot of it was jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So
every church, when I promote this, I tagged a lot of friends that are worship leaders, pastors. They've started their own churches, Bible study leaders, because I know that they relate, and I know all of these people. I know that they really appreciate and when they see the movie, they'll really appreciate the premise of the movie is just keeping gospel in the forefront of all the messages. So if you would both, I would love it if you would both just share, your faith and how it played out and played a role in your role in each of your roles in this movie.
Go, Thor.
All right.
Let the pastor take the floor.
The theme of the movie is really dear to my heart because I feel like it is a satire. The movie is a satire, but I always explain to people that you can only satirize something you love. and we love Jesus and the church. So we're not making fun of the church. What we're doing is satire highlights an issue that people need to be aware of. And again, when you see a satire, when somebody satirizes something they don't love, that's when it comes across as mean. And we've all seen those satires. There's a lot of, people that make satires about the church, but you can tell that they don't love the church. And so those satires don't. It's interesting. So why would you make that kind of movie? Because I think sometimes they make that kind of movie just because they're mad at the church and they just want to hurt the church. But no one's going to watch that movie. That's like, you're not going to reach the people you want to hurt. That's the odd thing. And the people that's why those movies go nowhere for the most part, I don't think. But so there is an issue within evangelicalism as a whole to me. And some of it is how we do church. And it's the emphasis we have. So two things in my life have radically changed in the last 20 years. And one is my view of the gospel. I came to Christ as my freshman year of college, and through a great ministry that put stamped evangelism on my DNA. But what they didn't do is take me deep into the God. Like they didn't give me, they kind of like, okay, you accepted Jesus, you're a sinner, Jesus loves you. They kind of assumed all that. And now here's what you need to do. So start getting up every morning and praying and reading your Bible and witnessing. And here's how you live the Christian life. And they got me on this do good track. But the problem is the do good track has to come from what your outward life comes from what you believe. And if you're not grounded in the depths of the gospel, like if you believe you can lose your salvation, you got some bad theology. You really do. It's diminishing Christ. Like, so his blood wasn't enough to cleanse you from all your sins. He needs your help. I mean, come on, that's horrible theology. It's just, it's dishonoring to Christ and his sacrifice. But that's the theology I came from. But the point is this, I didn't have a great deep, it wasn't deep down in my soul, the security of what Christ did and how I can add nothing to it, that Christ alone saved me. That's the gospel, by grace alone, through faith alone, in Christ alone, for the glory of God alone. That's the gospel. That should always be central because that's where our Christian lives come from. So that's the big thing that changed in my Christian life, because I fell away for over a decade, which is where I started stand-up. But I would have never fallen away, I believe, in hindsight now. And I believe I was a Christian that entire decade. You'd have met me, because I didn't call myself a Christian anymore, but you'd have met me during that period of my life and said, this guy's furthest away from the kingdom of God than anyone I've ever met. But inside, I still believed everything, but I had really bad theology because I didn't call myself a Christian anymore, because I thought, well, if I'm not doing the stuff, then I'm not a believer. But biblically, if you're his, he's going to bring you back at some point. It's like, if you're truly his, he's not going to let you get away, because God, Jesus doesn't lose anyone the Father gives him. It says that in John 6. So no one's lost once they're saved. But the point is this, that's a big deal. And the other big deal is how we do church. And the other big deal I'll try to say really briefly is we're too corporate. We have a corporate mentality. We do corporate principles. It's no wonder we have so many leadership crashes, because that's standard in the secular world of CEOs. You got the narcissistic self-starter, bottom line person. You bring that same leadership model into the church, you're going to have crashes. Church leadership is about servanthood. And the other big issue is, like, there are only 1,000 mega churches in the country. Yet there are 400,000 churches in America, approximately. Let's say only 200,000 believe the Bible, and that's probably generous. But that leaves 199,000 churches where the average congregation is 50 to 70 people. Maybe you got 100, 200 people here and there, but the average church size is 50 people. That's normal church life. But our mentality is completely reversed. Even the small churches think they got to think like big churches, and it's all about church growth. Small churches even want to reach people. You want to reach people. God decides whether you're going to reach 10, 20, or 100. God decides that. We have to be faithful to the gospel and faithful to serve the 50 people that we have. That's normal. You can't go to church every Sunday wanting, oh, we're not. But the entire body of Christ has this mentality. I've had people, like, I have a church of 50 going, we don't seem to be advancing as fast as we should. As fast as we should? What are you And that mentality is like, we should grow into a big mega church. That's the mentality that people have. And it's not biblical. It's not wrong. It puts a wrong emphasis in the church. So those are my two big things.
No.
And that just comes again from your relationship with Christ, growing over the years. And that should inform everything you do as a Christian. I say this to Christian artists all the time. Here's the thing about artists. They're emotive, but you've got to be grounded theologically. And that is mind. You need your mind and your heart. Otherwise, your art is going to morph into what the world is doing. And all the world's morality, when you watch everything the world puts out, it's all emotive. And they win the day emotively. It's like just no reasoning behind it. If you look at, man, I watched them the other day. Well, I'm watching the Mosquito Coast, which anyway, it's a long story there. I can't get into that. But the characters, if you're familiar with the series, oh man, they preach self-righteously. But where's this come from? What's the basis of your worldview? There's nothing there. It's just, we all feel this way, and you should feel this way. If you don't, you're morally wrong. And it's just vapid. There's nothing there. So we don't want what we do as Christians to be there, to be like that. There's got to be a foundation to it. You have to understand your foundation. Now, that doesn't mean your art has to be, that's a whole another story. I'm going to stop there.
It's so powerful. Oh my gosh, you're preaching. Did you see that comment you put up? Someone said you preach, Reverend Ramsey. I love that because it is about it all boils down to the starting point, that one-on-one relationship with Jesus. Having that. That's why some of the questions you were asking me, I can't explain it because it's about relationship. And I was never about relationship. I didn't know that you could have a relationship. I thought you had to, like you said, Thor, it was about doing and, checking off the list. I had no idea. I had no idea. I was wandering around the mountain for 40 years before I knew you could have a relationship. And so that is so powerful in itself. And it's funny what you're saying, the message, the foundation of what you're saying is something that came up on last Friday's coffee chat. We were referencing Romans 12, I think it is, of to not conform to the ways of the world. And that's what you're talking about. And it's so easy to get caught up in it. And I do want to talk about the character in the movie. I believe his name is Blaze, the young man. Yes. I love what you're saying about the mega church and the corporation. Have you seen the series Greenleaf?
I have not.
David and I watched it, and it's a lot of what you're talking about, and it was very entertaining. But yes, that's it. And we were both saying, the whole point of the show is where is Jesus in this? And that's why when we then we're introduced to church people, the movie, we were like, oh, okay, we get this. So yes, I love what you're saying. So passionate. Thanks for all that truth, because that's what we need in our world, without a doubt. So thank you for sharing all that. Christopher, I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to put there's a lot of people chiming in. So I'm going to put some comments up here and represent some of the people that are watching while you're telling us your story, Christopher.
Sure. There's a couple of people that popped up I want to shout out. Michelle Van Dusen. There she is again. And Dave Ebert. Shout out to Michelle and Dave. Thank you so much for joining us. So I grew up in a very small, I want to say town, but actually it was the village of Plainfield, less than 200 people. The sign literally says the village of Plainfield. And there was a Methodist church there. So I grew up always vaguely, at least, believing in God. But I don't recall ever hearing a message where it was talked about a relationship, through Jesus. It was Bible stories and just sort of principles and stuff like that. Now, part of the reason I might not have heard it may be because I was, making cartoon satirical things out of the pictures in Sunday school, and I was up in the balcony during the church service making paper airplanes out of the bulletin. So that may be why I missed quite a bit of stuff. But
I get you. Yeah.
You did not have ears to hear, Christopher. That's what
I guess I did not have ears to hear.
Yeah.
So my hands were too busy for my ears to hear. But but that very small community, very small, had a youth group. I don't even quite remember how that worked because it was very, very small. But we went to a Billy Graham Evangelical Association movie. and in a theater, and I'm sitting there with my friends in the youth group.
Tell us the
watching this
movie. Do you remember the movie?
I don't remember the name. I remember.
Was it The Prodigal?
It might have been The Prodigal. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the characters in the movie went to a Billy Graham crusade. He's giving the altar call. I don't even remember what he said. I just remember sitting there thinking, if I was one of those characters in the movie, I would go forward. And so lo and behold, at the end of the movie, Billy Graham comes on the screen and invites the people in the theater to come forward. And so I did. I talked with a prayer counselor. I don't remember what we prayed. I remember what we talked about because there was something on my heart that I was really worried about, but I don't remember what we prayed. I just remember leaving there feeling clean and forgiven. And I don't remember the next day because my faith at the time was so shallow that it was like, I believe in Jesus. I'm going to heaven. That's it.
Right.
Like I didn't understand any depths of theology or anything. So my life was kind of the status quo after that. I didn't really get serious about my faith until after college. And then shortly after college, I moved to Southern California from Ohio, and I got involved with Pastor Jack Hayford's church, the Church on the Way in Van Nuys. And then I got some more grounded teaching because prior to that, I was getting some very heavy-handed teaching that scared the crap out of me, actually. So anyway, I believe I was brought to a better understanding through a film. And then around the time I met Thor, I actually was involved in a ministry that became very unhealthy, became very cult-like. And I basically left that ministry and moved into a bachelor pad because I wasn't married at the time. And
it's always a good thing to do if you're a bachelor is not to move a married woman. So it's always good to go to a bachelor pad. Like insert yourself into somebody's marriage. That'd be the wrong thing to do.
So I felt, and my heart was heavy because I felt like I needed to laugh. And I was of the mindset at the time, like if I was going to do something filmmaking wise, faith-based, it had to be heavy and meaty and, where's the drama? Where's the tears? Where's the heavy, like, where's the meaty punch to it? And I felt like I needed to laugh, and I felt like the Lord was changing my heart. And so I had a subscription to christiancinema.com at the time. And I went to the comedy section and I just alphabetical order. And what's early in the alphabet? The letter B for Bananas Comedy, hosted by Thor Ramsey. And so I'm going through all these DVDs one at a time. I'm watching the behind the scenes. They would go around, they filmed it in Columbus, Ohio. So they would go around to like radio stations and they would do these wacky things at local stores and stuff. And I was watching all that stuff. I was watching the edited version, the raw version, the behind the scenes, the interviews with the guests. And this is around the time I started getting more and more involved in Facebook. And I'm like, I'm going to try to reach out to some of these comics I'm seeing on these shows like that and Thou Shalt Laugh. I'm going to find them on Facebook. And so I connected with Thor and, John Branyan and Michael Jr. and all these different people. And it came at a very poignant time in my life. And like I said earlier on in the show, Thor and I did our very first short together, Skip Listening, which was a comedy with heart, but it was a comedy. Like there's laughs throughout it. And it was a doorway into seeing that, you can be serious about your faith and still laugh,
Yes.
And a lot of times, if not most times, laughter will break down they'll crack the walls that you may have built up around you. Because think about it. Can you name more than 5 things that people can get together and enjoy, no matter what their background is, their political beliefs or whatever? If they all find something funny and they're all laughing, that can be very unifying.
Yes.
And you can get a message across once that wall is down. So
that's right.
That's where I think specifically comedy comes into faith, is because you can utilize comedy as a tool to get the deeper meaning and message across. And that's what we did with Skip Listening, which had a heartfelt message behind it, but it wasn't an overtly Christian message. It was still.
So I do want to say something about our methodology for those people who might be involved in the industry, is that Christopher and I, we never begin with our message.
Mm-hmm.
We never begin with what do we want to say,
Right.
and how can we say this in a film. Generally, we start with an idea that we're excited about, like the premise. You know, like, oh, what if there was a church that was going to crucify an actual person on Good Friday? What would that look like? And now the message gets built in, because now in church people it was easier because you're dealing with church life. So the message is right there. You don't have to force it in.
Yeah.
But that's the point I want to make. You don't want to force it in. But here's the thing about Christian film. It's a genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's a genre of film, and it's a needed genre.
Mm-hmm.
So in any genre, you have certain things that the audience expects. If you're writing a murder mystery, which is a genre, you better have a dead body and some people that possibly have motive to murder that person. If you don't have that, you don't have what they expect.
Right.
And then you've got to have the confrontation of the person who's investigating the murder and the villain. You've got to have a There's certain things in every genre of whether it's whatever story it is, certain genres, the audience has expectations. And in Christian films, there are expectations.
Yeah.
And one of those expectations is it's got to be about something, and it has to be about something that's biblical, and there has to be a message in there. But I will say this. You don't want to start with a message. You want to start with your story, your premise. And then if you're a Christian, if you're writing it, you'll see, like, so when Darren Leland and Bone and I were working on the Piano Movers, we didn't go, what's our message? What's the Christian message?
Right.
We wanted to make a funny family comedy, because
Right.
nobody makes those anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we really feel like no one does those anymore. So so that was our goal. And we went through a process of, I don't tell you the whole process, but when we finally honed in on our story, we started writing the story. And our whole thing was, let's see what comes to the surface theme wise.
Mm-hmm.
And friendship, being that we're all four friends for over 20 years, wanted to do something, started coming. Am I boring you, Christopher? But anyway.
I'm letting the whiny butt dog out.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But, anyway,
If he comes to put on my pillow, that's going to be a twofold reason. He's going to
friendship came to the surface. That became the theme, and we just worked it in. But it's like it's not over the top in terms. But I'm going the point I'm trying to make though is, if you're making Christian films, it's a genre.
Yes.
And you can't be ashamed of the genre, because I was for many years. Because people would talk about how bad Christian films were, but my whole thing now is, hey, the secular market makes more bad films than we do because there's more of them. They really do. Do they make more good films? Yes. Why? There's more of them, and they have more money. So what do you expect? I mean, don't criticize us, because Christian films have gotten better over the last 10 to 20 years. They really have. And the thing is, it's a genre. It's a needed genre, because it is a mindset that is not of the world. The whole premise, the whole viewpoint of these movies is completely different. So I just want to put that in there for people who are interested in Christian film. You got to make Christian films.
Yeah. And the story that you're talking about, I love the word story. That's the premise of everything I do. The Cubby Hole Coffee Chat show. It's all about the story. And what you were talking about is what people want. They want that relatability, that vulnerability. They want, because the storyline, it mimics everyday real life. And then just like church people, it comes in with the message that's just so helpful and so powerful, but it grabs their attention to have the relatable story, of course.
Hey, I see the website, churchpeoplefilm.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go there.
There's
sign up for the update.
And sign up, put your email in, and they will never contact you.
We will not.
Until September. Maybe September they'll send out something.
Gosh, a couple more things. I want to put up another comment from Michelle. I want to talk about Blaze, and I would love to talk about Mike Lindell, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
No, yeah, of course. He
funded
our movie.
We can talk about him. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband is gonna. He loves seeing him because, oh my gosh. Oh, I meant to put a picture up. We actually bought a MyPillow because I sampled it. I meant to put the picture in here. I sampled the MyPillow at Costco. I have a picture of me actually sampling it, laying my head down and taking a nap. So talk about that. What a cool collaboration.
Well, I got to tell you, when I went and saw, I didn't get to see it in the theaters because I live in California, in Southern California. So everything's locked down here. But But there was a local church that showed it, and so I went to their screening. And when Mike Lindell in his cameo, that got the biggest response of the entire evening that night. I'm not joking. It's like when he came on, like people were like, oh, you know, it's like they saw an old friend or something.
That's awesome. It was cool to see him. Speaking of cameos, Christopher, you did have a cameo, right? That was you. Were you the stage manager?
I was the efficient stagehand.
Yes.
My uncredited IMDb credit.
And that's what you're called. Thank you, efficient stagehand.
Yep.
I don't even know.
And that's what he called it. That's what he called me. So I hand him the Sharpie. So I run out on stage and I hand him the Sharpie so he could sign his first beach ball. And he's like, "Thank you, efficient stagehand."
Yes.
And then I run off. So that was my director cameo.
I love it. My husband. Well, I actually wanted him to. I wish I would have thought of it earlier to run out and actually get a beach ball. David, my husband, was just commenting here that he actually.
I still have one around here somewhere. It was blown up for years and years, but I think we just took the air out of it. But I still have one of the beach balls from Skip Listening with my face on it.
Which book, Michelle?
Is it Broke? Is that what is the name of your book, Thor?
I have So I have 3 books. The latest one is the most encouraging book on hell ever, and then I do have a book called Broke. I'm not anyway. So
it's a long story.
I guess I have 4 books out, but
and you're working on how many? Aren't you working on like 5?
I'm working on novels now. The other books are just kind of Broke is actually a straight out humor book. It's about my wife and I getting out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
And it follows our it's just our journey out of debt. So it's a short little book, and it is a straight out humor book. I think of all the books I've written, it's the funniest. I will say that. But the most encouraging book on hell ever deals with the subject of hell. That came out when Rob Bell came out with his book, Love Wins, and it's really dealing with that issue. And
right,
it's again, we've got to deal with these issues head on in evangelicalism, or we're going to lose the next gen.
Right.
I think that we're losing the next generation, not because we have a bad reputation and all that kind of, when has Christianity not had a bad reputation? I'm like, have you guys read the Bible? I mean, like, where do these guys get this? It's like, we've done surveys and people say Christianity has a bad reputation. It's like, hello. And it's like, what Bible are you reading? And it's like, wow. It's like, yeah. So I'm like, it's like, can we add to that? Sure we can. But, but to say, hey, we got to change all this stuff. So, but anyway. I don't know
what Michelle said.
Comedian's Guide to Theology. But the problem with that book is my theology has changed since I wrote that book. So I really had no business writing that book. So just to let you know, when you read it, you're going, okay.
It's in a rewrite right now. That's what's going on there. I don't want to forget to talk about the character Blaze. Speaking of the next generation, I loved his role, and I loved the kind of the conflict. The actor, everybody.
Yeah, let's do a shout out for Clancy McCartney, who played Blaze. Clancy McCartney, excellent.
But the point being, the next anyway, what were you saying about his character?
And that toaster scene. Everybody was just so great. That toaster scene cracked me up. But yes, the next generation. He was so conflicted. He was on fire for Jesus, and he was trying to please everybody, and very conflicted there. Wanted to do the right thing.
Well, it was a real zeal, and it's really a zeal you don't see in conversion these days. he really has more of kind of a 1980s or really 1980s type of zeal when, because like it's interesting now, and I've noticed this over it's been, I don't know, over the last 20, 30 years, but like when I was in high school or college, I would say that you'd still meet people who came to faith, and there would be this is amazing. It's like the world has changed overnight. And now there's more of a gradual, I'm thinking about it, I'm checking it out. And it's been a slow, climb. Like, did you ever convert?
But testing their coffee.
But Blaze was kind of a throwback to the 1980s type of conversion, just zeal, but without knowledge, which can be dangerous too. Yeah. It is dangerous.
Luckily, your character came in and was guiding him, and mentoring. That's perfect. Oh my gosh, you guys! I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Is there anything else you guys would like to add? Is there a project that you would like to talk about? Are you guys not talking about that either? Like me.
No, we're
No,
trying to
we have a handful of projects that we would love to do. They need funding.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's
Wink,
talk about
wink.
We have
So,
finished
unless you want me to bombard social media for the next couple of years with another proof of concept trailer, help us
Yeah.
out.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk.
I just got an email today from a publisher that, well, it's a publisher. I don't know how this works. It's a publisher that has different divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So the one division passed on the novel I sent them, but saying that another division will be sending me an offer in the next few weeks. So I'm not sure how that works, but
Okay.
so I hope it's kind of bad news. Is it good news? But we'll see.
I love that you're giving all this, behind the scenes and what it takes, because it's, there are a lot of people watching, I'm sure, that are going to be inspired just by hearing the process.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people assume. I mean, like there almost is never such a thing as an overnight success. I mean, like most people probably haven't heard about Church People, for example, but it's been 11 to 12. Well, when did you start writing it, Thor? A couple years before you met me, or a year before you met me?
No,
or
I'd have to go back and let's ask Josh Nadler if he can go back in his calendar and see what day I had the meeting there at Sony the firm, and that'll be
I mean,
I started writing it about
plus years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
So by no means overnight. I mean, the first several years was tied up in like we don't have the funding, and then the last several years have been tied up. Like, we don't have a distribution outlet, we don't have P&A fund, like because you got to market the movie, and thankfully Mike Lindell came in with that money too. So.
Yeah, it takes so long. You actually have to write lines. You have to add lines into the script. Like a youth pastor doesn't mean you're young. It just means you're a pastor of youth. So it's like, it's been 12 years. So it's like, we're not a young youth pastor anymore.
Yeah.
Well, inspiring just to see all the changes. I know I'm familiar, and you could easily just get caught up. I was just watching a video about perfection. And this is for anybody out there that's watching, that's, a writer, or you're doing this line of work. If you get caught up in perfection, it could seem like it's never done. It's
stifling. It's stifling. And a lot of YouTubers, successful YouTubers, will tell you, Sean Cannell will say, you just got to hit record, It's not going to be perfect, most likely,
Right. Why did you guys change the title from youth group to church people? No, we didn't answer that question, did we?
We didn't.
That was really this is what happens in movie making. People who have more power than you decide things are
make
going to
decisions
change.
that
That's the other thing too. You write something, and I have a friend that was writing a movie for a Hallmark, and it didn't look anything like what he wrote. Once it was filmed, but that happens a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset by the titling. It's grown on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't like it at first, but we like it now. I think it's a better title in the sense that it does, I think, better encapsulate how the film became.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because originally in the film was more about the youth.
Right.
But the other thing is, it also, I think, casts a wider net for potential audience members to want to see it, because youth group is more niche than church people, just as a title, as a general, like, first glance kind of a thing. So I like it. I think it works, but we weren't thrilled about it initially.
Well, now one of the themes of the movie at the time, the line's still in there's like the entire church has become the youth group.
Yeah.
So that was kind of it, but no one really got that theme. No one really bought into that. It's like it's in the script, guys. This is what you bought.
Yeah,
so,
we were told that when they were showing it to distribution possibilities, the feedback was, you got to change the title because it's not about the youth. And we're like, yeah, we kind of covered that in the script, but it must have gone so fast that and quite frankly, it is a quick line. Like it's like
it is
like you zoom past that line. So.
Yes,
or in Pastor Skip's case, he zooms past that line on his little machine. So,
it was a close up originally. We should have left that close up in.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't us either. That wasn't
it was actually it was me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was you?
Yeah.
You cut the close up? Are you serious?
I talked to Steven about it, and to cut it out. Now, in hindsight, I go, it was a wrong move.
Well,
bad idea.
I think the reason the close-up so we shot the close-up in like a funny fisheye fashion, and it was 2, and we could have fixed that in post.
Yeah, it was the close-up would have been better though.
Yeah, I agree.
So in hindsight,
I didn't know you were behind that. How about that?
I think the entire script could have. I think everything could have been better. Everything could have been better. I actually hate my performance in it. So because
you talk behind the scenes.
Yeah, but
he hated his
I'm happy how people are responding to it.
Performance in that. After he saw this, he hated his performance in it.
I'm happy with how people are responding to it.
Everybody's sitting in on a post-production meeting right now. They're hearing you guys just share your thoughts.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Well, your dream will come true. You'll make your movie, and then you'll hate it. That's kind of what happens. That's how life works.
Yeah.
You know what, David? There weren't many. I don't think we have any good outtakes of the BMX because they nailed it. They nailed those jumps every time.
There were no accidents. I don't think we didn't even have an ambulance waiting.
No, we didn't.
We didn't. No, we had some aspirin. We had some aspirin and some bottled water off the side. But
oh my God, you guys have been great. I want to give you guys the last word or anything that you want to share as we close up here. But I really appreciate you guys. This has been really fun. The very first Cubby Hole Spotlight Special. This has been
this is Spotlight Special. Oh, sweet.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done this.
Oh,
this format. Yeah, usually the show is on Friday. It's every Friday. It's a coffee chat about overcoming, but this is the first time. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I just want to say for people who don't believe yet, who need to believe, then I just want to finish with repent and believe the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is Lord. And, if you have questions or whatnot, maybe start with a laugh and see the movie, because some of your questions may be answered with things that happen in the movie. And whether you're a believer or not, there's certainly a character or 2 or 3 in the movie that you can relate to, because there are believers and non-believers in the film.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and in the cast.
Our cast and crew was mostly non-believers. So,
really? Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
But as far as the story of the movie goes, there's characters in various places of their faith walk or lack thereof, and a strong redemptive theme. So check it out. And churchpeoplefilm.com. Tell your pastors and church leaders about it. Host a showing. It's only good, I think, until the end of this month, unless they extend it. And I have no word that they're doing that. So, but yeah, repent and believe the gospel. Jesus loves you.
Come see me at Life West if you're in Wisconsin. I think it's in somewhere in Wisconsin. There you go. It's not that big a state, so just figure out where it's at and then get in your car, come out and see me. Or in Nashville. I think there's another one in Nashville.
Just cross the state line and go, Thor Ramsey.
You're from Ramsey.
They'll put a billboard up somewhere. They'll put a billboard up. So keep your eyes out.
Did you say you're from Nebraska?
What's that?
Did you say earlier that you're?
I grew up in Nebraska. I grew up in Dakota City, Nebraska.
Literally, I mean, Nebraska doesn't come up very often, and it's come up twice this week. It just came up at a volleyball tournament.
Came up a lot when I was a kid. I'll tell you that. It came up a lot.
So we actually just this weekend. I was with some people. We were talking about this young woman is going to Nebraska for training, and no, it was actually a couple nights ago. And I said, "What's in Nebraska? I've never." And it was she was looking up on the Google Nebraska. Corn. That's what
corn.
It said.
And German Shepherds.
There was
German Shepherds and corn. Yep.
Who's known coming from Nebraska? But then
Johnny Carson came from Norfolk, Nebraska.
Okay.
Bruce Springsteen wrote an album called Nebraska. There's actually a fellowship of it's a fellowship of, I forget what it's called now, but it's just people from Nebraska and Hollywood. They actually get together.
There was a couple of points, and then it was just said corn. It was just corn.
There's a famous. He's famous. I can't think of his name right now, but he's a famous screenwriter.
Yeah.
He's written several scripts. Bruce Dern starred in one. I'm trying to think of. Anyway, I can't think of.
If he was a famous screenwriter, he would have written several scripts.
What's that now?
I said I would assume if he's a famous screenwriter, he would have written several scripts.
Oh my God.
No, they got produced. They're not like us. I've written several scripts, but he wrote several scripts. They got produced.
Thanks for watching, Gail Cooper.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Nebraska. That's where I grew up. That's where all this.
But I think I think we have a meeting with somebody named David. So
we are going. I'm calling him down right now because I know he wants to meet you. And so you guys, I'm just gonna. I could sit here and talk to you all night. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. So I'm just going to sign off along with you guys. So you guys, I'll let you know when the next Cubby Hole Spotlight special is going to be. But this one,
what are you showing us, Thor?
The Hollywood standard. This is what you need when you're writing a screenplay. You need the Hollywood standard. It's a reference guide to all kinds of.
There you go.
Like how do I do a flashback? I want to do this. So you're gonna write a screenplay, and you're gonna need more than external, internal, that type of thing. So
okay. Oh, you guys. Oh, Gail Cooper said she wishes that she had popcorn. You guys were awesome. This was fun. Thanks for the behind the scenes. Thanks for the truth. And thanks for the main point is the foundation.
It's like she just without, could we do a drive and buy her popcorn? Is like she just needy and needs popcorn? She just can't afford popcorn. And we could take donations to get her popcorn or something. I just feel bad. It sounds like, I just, I'm sitting here enjoying a show, but I'm starving. It's like, we need to feed her, just go be a piece and go on your way. James, like we gotta get this lady some popcorn.
I have some cranberries. That's all I have.
Okay, there you go. Send those out to her.
Yes, I will. I'm going to send Gail some popcorn. So we have a meeting with David. Come on in here and say hi. Then we're going to talk to the guys. David's going to help me close out, and then we're going to talk with the guys when we go backstage. We're live, so we're going to.
Hi, David. Nice to meet you. We're going to stay on and have a closed meeting. We're gonna
now the show really begins, people. I wish you could join us. Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys, my face hurts. This has been so fun. Okay, I'm gonna sign off with you guys and everybody else. So until next time, everybody, thank you so much for being here for the first Cubby Hole Spotlight special. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.